Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles, and I welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today, we're going to be continuing this story here, this Skip Bayless story here. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. As y'all know, yesterday was a crazy day in the sports world, following a very tragic development out of the NFL. It was truly a sad day for Damar Hamlin. After witnessing his horrific injury on the football field, him collapsing and then needing to be resuscitated and literally brought back to life. Watching the reactions from the players on the court, on the field, just in total horror. You see grown men out there crying for their teammate and just the despair that they had. Seeing the response from the sports world and the media world, at large. And then also following what happened in the aftermath of what Skip Bayless had to tweet yesterday. Apparently some people became English professors yesterday, and all of a sudden they were handing out test scores for people who could read and who couldn't read. I just quickly want to reiterate Skip Bayless's comments that he made yesterday, the one that he's really catching flack for, which he simply said, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome. That was his first thought. And then he followed it up with, which suddenly seems irrelevant. As y'all know, we made our position crystal clear on his comments. Other athletes made their position crystal clear, and entertainers. And now it seems someone in the media who was a former athlete in Jay Williams, who works for ESPN, found Skip Bayless's comments to be so distasteful that he took to, he decided, to address it and address Skip Bayless by his name on Max Kellerman's show with him, Jay Williams, and Keyshawn Johnson. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what Jay Williams had to say in response to Skip Bayless, and then we're going to come back and react to it. Take a listen to that there.
The knee-jerk hot takes from people about football, get out of here. Get out of here with that. I'll say his name, Skip Bayless, get out of here with that. Now, I know he came back and he apologized later, but to sit up there and talk about what's going to happen with the game, and I know that's naturally where your mind may lead to. You may think that because our job is to talk about sports, but to then turn that into Twitter fingers and not take a second to reflect about what the bigger picture here is. What are we doing? Are we just doing this for hot takes and what's going to happen to the season and what's going to happen to my fantasy league and the implications? No, I don't care about that. While a man is on the field who may lose his life. I was appalled by that last night. So then to see Ryan Clark get up on that platform and speak the way he did, said, thank goodness from the beings above that we had somebody responsible in a moment that needed somebody to provide clarity about what was really important.
No, Jay, I hear what you're saying. Sometimes when something like this happens, where you're angry, because anger re-empowers you. You feel helpless when you see something like this, right? You're helpless. You want it to be okay, but you have no power over the situation. So you get angry because now you feel strong again. And it's a re-empowering emotion. So the anger needs an object.
No, Max.
And I would say that members of the media who err on the side of their professional responsibility over their humanity, I think your reaction is justified to say, wait a minute, that needs to be checked. I think, for me, that you need more humanity in this moment and less kind of professionalism or less, careerism. But I think
that's not professionalism
or careerism. Call it careerism because that takes into account ambition, right? Or ego. But I think that it's good to have a learning moment there rather than just to castigate, rather than to say bad, someone say, hold on a second. Let's refocus this over here. But I do think a lot of times, for example, you'll notice when a tragedy occurs or something very bad happens, people are looking for someone to get mad at. And someone who takes a wrong step publicly then becomes the target because who else is there to get mad at?
I don't carry any anger. I'm just calling it for what it was. I didn't channel my anger towards that certain individual and Skip Bayless. It's just there's a theme that's occurred where you see habits over time of reacting in ways where it's not about the human being. It's more so about the sport. And it seems like things are said for hot takes.
Well, and then hot taking becomes a sport, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Dominique Foxworth, ESPN NFL analyst and former NFL player, was on Get Up this morning. And his anger is, and I'm telling you, Jay, people get angry and it's directed somewhere. That it's to someone. And in his case, he has a different target.
And he threaded the needle even better than I did. It's about people that only cared about the end result and what that means for their team and what that means for the overall, what does this mean for the playoffs and other things. That's where, yeah, there should be anger towards that because we're focused on the individual player that's trying to fight for his life.
I would suggest to you, Jay, that had everyone behaved perfectly in concert, everyone, immediate medical, and apparently the medical reaction was good from the NFL. Apparently, so the reporting so far, in order to make ourselves feel better. I mean, the fact is we do, but we should maybe be aware that that's what we're doing.
Academically, you probably broke me down. There probably is anger that needs to be channeled at somebody, right? Like I understand that, but I don't know, Max. I feel like I have a responsibility that when I go on TV or when I go on radio, the words that come out of my mouth matter. And more than anybody, it matters to me. And I think words also translate to Twitter fingers. What you put out, owning something is fine. I hear you. But in certain moments where the gravity is so thick and real, it only feels like only a non-player would not look at that and say, or like, that's not even the correct terminology.
No, I'm not.
Somebody
by
who's
the way,
not
Jay,
in tune with the severity of the moment would just think about that. And then actually, Max, I don't mind if you think about it, but just because you think about it doesn't mean that you have to then relay that on a platform nationally to everybody. You can think about, I think about a lot of stuff that I don't say.
So you heard what Jay Williams had to say. He didn't mince his words. And I like the fact that he called him out by name. I think I've noticed rather that a lot of people in media are afraid to call each other out by name. We call out athletes all the time, but we're afraid to call out other people, especially when we work in the same company with them for whatever reason. Maybe it's just taboo. You don't do that. But I like the fact that he addressed them by name. Why? Because this situation is bigger than whatever kind of code we have for, okay, I'm not going to talk about the guy in my profession. It's madness. If somebody says something wrong, whether it's an athlete or one of your colleagues or one of your contemporaries within your particular medium, you call them out for it. Jay Williams was 100% on the money. Let me reiterate my position on this so people understand exactly where I'm coming from. We can all read and comprehend just fine. The fact of the matter is simply this. Skip Bayless, in his tweet, talked about two different ideas. He spoke from the standpoint, if you read his tweet properly, he spoke from the standpoint of the NFL. What would the NFL do with such a big game this late in the season? How are they going to manage this situation? And then the second idea was, although this seems irrelevant, is when he's referring to the tragic event that had just unfolded in front of everyone's eyes. So please spare us with you guys coming around telling people who knows how to read, who doesn't know how to read. We can read just fine. We read perfectly fine. He gave two ideas. The reason he's in trouble is because of what he said. If he felt it was irrelevant, he could have simply said, this game right now is irrelevant. We need to spend time focusing on what's happening with let me make sure I get his name right. Damar Hamlin. He could have simply said that. He could have simply said that. He didn't say that. If he didn't mean any harm, then why did he say all of that in the first place? So please spare us with your nonsense. Secondly, something I want to address very quickly. There are a lot of people running around calling people emotional and woke and all of this stupidity. I want to quickly say this is the reason I don't deal with people in politics, because you have people that see things through the prism of politics. Even something like this, when you're dealing with a person's humanity, they still cannot help themselves but to view it from a political angle. You guys are nauseating. We can't deal with you. How about you look at a situation from a fact-to-fact basis? There always doesn't have to be a political angle to things. You guys are ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous. Let me finally say this. You have a lot of people out there running around calling people insensitive. Sensitive. Meanwhile, some of you guys support some of the most emotionally unstable entertainers and politicians, but then run around and call people sensitive. It's a joke, and you're a joke. You guys need to stop that. This is not the time and place for that, please. It's distasteful, and it seems very, very childish, to be quite frank with you. I just wanted to get those ideas out. I 100% concur with what Jay Williams had to say. So what I want to know from you guys is simply this. What do you think about what Jay Williams had to say? And do you think that he has a point? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.